everyone, Kuro the Artist here, and welcome back to another Ben 10 breakdown. As the very first alien to ever appear in the entire franchise, Heatblast has become a staple of Ben 10. This Pyronite has been such a prominent alien that's always finding new ways to use his powers. From melting the road to trap enemies, absorbing and redirecting flames, creating shapes, flying on a comet, and of course, supernova temperatures.
The faster you spin, the hotter you'll be, dweeb.
Today, we're going to be looking at 2 episodes where it was all up to Heatblast and his versatile powers to win the battle. The first is the infamous Fountain of Youth episode where Grandpa and Ben, and by extension his aliens, are transformed into younger versions of themselves and need to stop Hex from obtaining immortality. The second is about a wedding between the humans and their longtime rival, the Sludge Puppies, to put an end to their wars. If this is your first breakdown and you'd like to know exactly how my rating system works, you can check a detailed description down below, along with a link to all of my previous breakdowns, but by all means watch this video first. I'm sure you'll still enjoy yourself. Let's get ready to jump right in, but first, 2 quick updates. I'd like to start off by saying yes, somehow the counters for the wrong transformations from last week's video have been removed. I probably hit some command that highlighted those templates and deleted them. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but from Divided We Stand, both Ditto's first appearance and Upgrade's appearance were wrong transformations, so our counter is now up to 35. We also met our goal, selling 400 Horus plushies within 1 week. Again, showing off your strong support and love for our work, and again, leaving me practically speechless. Nonetheless, 5YL versions of these 4 aliens will be coming soon, so please subscribe to our second channel, The Rust Bucket, so you don't miss out on the streams. For the first time, we have 3 writers on a single episode. Marty Eisenberg teams up with Pugsley and Klein to bring us Don't Drink the Water, first airing on July 26th, 2007. An aging Hex seeks out the Fountain of Youth from Hector, an immortal former soldier in charge of keeping it secret. Max and Ben are accidentally exposed to the water, de-aging them, and now it's a race to the fountain to stop Hex from gaining immortality. I wonder where he is.
You have tried my every potion, but there is nothing I can do to stop you from getting older.
Is Hex buying all these potions off of him, or is this guy just really good friends with him? Kinda want to know a little more about him.
Lucky girl did not take all my strength.
This didn't happen to Charmcaster, though. Maybe it's because Hex literally is older and he uses magic to be much younger, but Charmcaster is legitimately, like, what is she in the classic series, 15 or something?
Water from the Fountain of Youth. I know where you can find more.
Now I'm taller.
Don Juan Ponce de Leon on the adventurer's second voyage to America in 1493.
So this is the same guy that we're gonna meet later. All of this is legitimate text too. It's all typed out. Usually they just put scribbles or lines, but I can read all of this perfectly. Wow, this image was not meant to be warped with this much extremity. Kinda looks like a Minecraft texture. Speaking of Minecraft, don't forget to check out our playthrough of the new Minecraft DLC. It's on our channel right now. It's a pretty fun video and I hope you guys like it.
Why do the words always have to be so darn small?
Kinda like Grandpa in glasses.
The one thing about old people, they don't want to be reminded they're old.
So I guess this is one of those episodes where Grandpa is a legitimate old person and not someone that, you know.
That was your only warning shot. Come here! I don't think so. Pull yourself together and give us a hand. I can still catch both of you.
Oh, he's still trying to be involved.
Whew. If you stop running.
Yeah, Grandpa's extra old in this episode.
Who are you calling old?
I mean, Grandpa's called himself old before.
Us old fogies don't forget as much as you think.
And there he is.
This booth is out of order.
It looks fine to me. They need to see I'm not some old fuddy-duddy.
I think they're playing up the oldness a little bit too hard in this episode.
No. No! No!
He shouldn't be having it out in the open like this anyways. Like, what did he think would happen?
Well, it could be a little warmer on these old joints of mine.
Yeah, I'm really not digging how old they're trying to make Max seem. Maybe if he was always like this, but he's clearly not.
You can hide from me no longer!
What a coincidence.
We drained him and Charmcaster of all their powers.
Yeah, but Charmcaster didn't get old. He still seems pretty powerful for being old. So Grandpa got soaked twice. That's probably why he became significantly younger, whereas Ben only went down a few years.
Going hero.
Ah, so close to a hero time. Is this ride just on?
What does he want with you?
Something so powerful. If the truth was revealed, the world would never be the same.
So I'm just gonna keep it out in the open in a dunk tank. This is a simple but good transition into Cannonball's ball form. I like when they put a little effort into it. Alright, if Hex can do that, he clearly doesn't need to be young to be strong.
You'll have to go through me first.
Yeah, Grandpa. Whoa, what? Only gonna see that once.
You know, I've never felt better.
I really like young Max's design. Who voices him? Adam Wiley or Wiley? Sorry, I'm butchering the name. He's also JT in the classic series and Pierce Wheels in UAF.
I almost feel like a kid again.
Oh, he's so happy.
Hey, watch it!
That's my grandpa.
Aw, he's so nice. Aw, no, Max. Don't stoop to Ben's level.
Hex is on the loose.
Never realized she was such a spoiled sport.
You know, I will say it's interesting that it is Max, like, matured down to a 10-year-old and not just 60-year-old Max inside of 10-year-old Max's body. Makes it a little more interesting, kind of like a pseudo-glimpse into Max's past.
You're right, Gwen. We'll figure things out.
But he's still level-headed, just a little bit of a jokester. I don't know what it is, but the rust bucket looks like it's made of cardboard in this shot. It might be the grainy outlines. Actually, is this the CG rust bucket? Yeah, it is. You can tell by the wheels.
You're toast.
Grandpa Max's sumo character shows up a lot more than I thought he would. This is like the 3rd episode he's been in. I mean, it makes sense because all of their character avatars are real characters in the Sumo Slammers game, but I'm just surprised by how much we actually see him.
Game booth guys seem to be keeping something a pretty big secret.
A pretty poor secret, but she's right.
We could use the elemental breakdown meter to test a core sample after Ben and I go skateboarding.
Grandpa!
He's battling, having fun, and also being the guiding force of the operation. I totally get that, Max. Why do they still need to hold it?
12 times the amount of oxygen than hydrogen, and it's registering high levels of carbon.
So the magic in the water is slightly detectable by science. Blends the two worlds a bit. I like that. Oh, that's about a 46-minute drive from where they are. In fact, I'm going to look that up even more specifically and see if that's a real address. Northfield Lane isn't real. I don't know what I was expecting to find, but I just think it's interesting they're giving us a whole address right here.
This is a crime scene. Drop the weapon, son, and everyone come with us.
I should be surprised that cops are speaking to kids like this, but I mean, I'm not.
We should give these guys a hand. 4 of them.
Alright, well maybe trying to murder the cops is too much too. I really like this design for forearms. He's got little sleeves instead of them being skin tight in his big mouth. It's so cute. I wish we saw more really young Tetramans like this.
It's the water. It went all over you too when the booth smashed.
Yeah, it's the CG rust bucket again. Well, I guess if it saves time drawing all this every time, you know, why not use it? Yeah, but now how can you reach the pedals? Ah.
I don't want to walk anymore. I'm tired.
Since it's still Tara Strong and she has to do a voice even younger than a 10-year-old boy, it kind of sounds like she's using her Timmy Turner voice for young Ben, or younger Ben. And it's a nice contrast that Grandpa Max tucks in his shirt. That's what people did in the era he grew up in. Oh, it's this guy again.
Where's Hex?
Yeah, see, doesn't that sound just like Timmy Turner?
Where's Hex?
He forced me to tell him.
That's pretty cool. I like how 2 of the wheels became a wrecking ball arm. This is something Ash would think of. He's really good at unique designs like that. The ground shaking with every stomp really helps too.
Going hero. Hero.
That's our second going hero. Maybe I should have added that to the counter. I don't know, I talk a little bit more about why I don't in my last video. And not that it really matters, but you can see that the leaf texture they use for these leaves also overlap the oranges. Okay, this one's my favorite.
Just who we need. Wild Pup.
When she made that comment, calling him Wild Pup, I think that inspired everyone to try to create young names for all of the aliens. Well, and Stinky Fly, which they say later on, but I can't really think of good ones for Heatblast or Forearms, so if you guys have any good ones, put them in the comments.
I have been the protector of the Fountain of Youth.
Fountain of Youth is real?
It was decided back then that it would remain a secret.
So why'd you put it in a dunk tank? I just noticed if you go frame by frame, you could actually see little bugs flying off of Ben. Yeesh, there's so many of them. Where did these all come from?
And he's gotten more powerful after every drink.
Ben just doesn't care about anything happening right now.
This is so uncool.
Yeesh, look at Max go. Where's your jetpack, dude? 3 going heroes this episode. Should I make a second counter? We're already in season 4. This always confused me. So they're born with pupils, then age out of having pupils, but then grow up to have pupils again? I think maybe they just want Stinkfly to have pupils and regret not giving them in the first place, so they give Stinkfly pupils every chance they get. This is interesting music. Have we heard this before? It kind of sounds like the music used in the opening of Race Against Time, like straight out of the movie. Yeah, it does. Let me... I swear it is, isn't it? It's so similar. Okay, it definitely is. So I wonder which came first. Is the series reusing music from Race Against Time, or is Race Against Time reusing music from the series? Either way, I think it's kind of cool they share the same soundtrack right here.
We're almost there!
These are some pretty obvious brushstrokes. Not that it looks bad, a lot of cartoons do this on purpose, but Ben 10 doesn't normally, at least not with this texture. And right here kind of looks a little funky, but you know, whatever. The shot probably only lasts like 3 seconds.
There it is.
Yeah, it's already gone, so.
Fountain of Youth.
I like how the water is kind of gross and dirty, too. Like, even though it's magic water, I mean, it's still underground with a bunch of rocks. It's not going to be the cleanest water out there. And he's young again.
I was becoming greater than you could ever imagine.
Alright, so he does become stronger the younger he is, but still, he's like insanely strong when he was old. It's the wind spell. Well, not the same one, but it's still wind. That's pretty cool. That's something a video game boss would do. Oh man, imagine being smacked against a rock as a 5-year-old. He just turns this on like a flashlight. So many different renders going on here. It looks insane, but I like it.
I mean, what good would Ben be as a baby alien hero against Hex now?
It seems everything is tinted with this red texture except for the button and dial of the Omnitrix. So are they drawn on a separate layer, or did they have to add this filter over each color?
Even if you went Heatblast to melt Hex, he'd just blow you out like you were a birthday candle. Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's happening here too. It's not tinted with the rest of Ben. And it's a good thing he got Heatblast too. I mean, Gwen's plan would have fallen apart if Ben mistransformed. I really like Hex right now.
Told you! Stop it!
I like how right here we just get a little stick figure of Ben.
I knew he'd go supernova high. All 4-year-olds have meltdowns.
Its effects should wear off of you and Ben soon.
I am still all powerful!
So Hex right here and Charmcaster are both voiced by Kari Wahlgren. I think that's kind of awesome.
Something tells me I'll be giving the orders from now on.
And thus, Hex doesn't come back in the -10. So let's just jump right into the ratings. The plot, I'm gonna give a 3. And this is kind of a generous 3, because there's a lot of things that I personally have a problem with in this episode, but ultimately it doesn't really hold the story back, it just creates a lot of confusion. Like the fact that the Fountain of Youth is hidden underground, we still don't understand why Hector was carrying it around in a dunk tank in the first place. It seems like a really stupid move to do, especially with how big of a deal it is and he doesn't want anyone touching it. If we at least got an explanation for it, whether or not it was a good one, I guess it would have been passable, but the fact that he just has it there for apparently no reason, and it completely screws up his whole 400-year system, it's kind of too ridiculous not to knock the episode for it. And of course the coincidence that the Tennysons and Hex's plans are always intertwining at the same time. You know, Ben 10 is built on coincidences, but sometimes they're stretched a little bit too far. So characterization also gets another 3. They really overplayed the fact that Max is old in this episode. It's like never done to this degree, even in episodes where he's not doing crazy backflips and shit. It just seems really weird, especially 4 seasons in, to all of a sudden start treating Max like he's actually an old man. Trying to say Max is blind and he gets tired easy. It's good for this episode, but not the whole series. As for Hector, he's an interesting character. He's someone I think has done a lot better than most most supporting one-episode characters. But still, why are you putting the Fountain of Youth in a dunk tank? Why are you tasked to guard the Fountain of Youth in the first place? They give you enough information to make you want more, but you don't get enough to really understand Hector, I guess. And as for young Max, it was nice seeing his youthful personality, but it was a little hard to make the connection that it was still Max in there. Sometimes he seemed like a different character entirely, and we just know in spirit he's Max. Perhaps that's the point. I mean, going from 60 to 10 is a huge jump, but it's still a little bit hard to make that connection. But visuals will get a 5. Not for the usual reasons that other episodes have gotten a 5 when it comes to like animation or production quality, but it gets a 5 just because it's really neat to see the young version of Ben's aliens and young Max. And of course, every time Hex is here, you get to see some crazy cool spells. He's a very visually interesting character, and I think those are strong enough to hold the episode together. Importance, unfortunately, has to get a solid 0. This is a very fun episode, but it doesn't have anything to do with anything, and if you skipped it, you're not missing out on anything but something enjoyable. It would get at least a point or two in terms of impacting the fandom, but this episode isn't really talked about much either. It's still remembered fondly, but I mean, you won't really be lost in a discussion if somebody brings this up. And as for entertaining, I'm gonna give it a 4. The only reason it doesn't give a 5 is because it does get a bit slow here and there in the episode, and because seeing the young version of Ben's aliens is so cool, sometimes it feels like you're just waiting for the next young Ben alien scene. While that is more of a viewer problem than an episode problem, it still has that effect on the viewers, so. And that leaves this episode off with a 15 out of 25. Let's move on to the next one. Eugene Sun steps in to write his first episode, Big Fat Alien Wedding, first premiering August 2nd, 2007. A wedding between the plumber side of the Tennyson family and the Sludge Puppies, alien shapeshifters they've been at war with for years, is set to end all of their conflict, until something comes up to try to stop this wedding. Meanwhile, Ben can't dance.
Going hero!
Trying to keep a mental track record, I think this is like the 7th or 8th going hero. I don't think I'm gonna end up making a counter for it, but he says it more than It's Hero Time in the classic series, despite It's Hero Time being like the catchphrase, you know?
No, you're not.
I really like this tuxedo.
Why can't they find someone else to be the ring bearer?
I'm loving all the details in this shot. You can even see over here where the wedding's gonna be. And here's where the fight with Cannonbolt's gonna take place. This is cool. Maybe they needed to make this to map out the episode, and they just said, screw it, let's make it a whole background.
This tuxedo is a family heirloom. It was mine when I was a kid.
And now we can actually picture what that would look like.
Just be careful with it, please.
Smile.
This photo kind of reminds me of the one that Jimmy Jones leaks online in Ultimate Alien.
Congratulations.
Maybe you can talk some sense into my parents.
Maybe you can talk some sense into these kids.
Max is always being caught in the middle of everyone's problems.
They don't know what they're doing. This whole wedding is a terrible mistake.
That's so insensitive to say right in front of them.
These are my parents, Mr. and Mrs. Mann.
Yes, how human.
I'm sorry we had to meet under such awkward circumstances.
So both Camille and the mom are voiced by Grey DeLisle. This is a really nice flower display, though.
Uncle Max, this has been a nightmare.
I'm so used to hearing Grandpa Max that Uncle Max is a bit strange.
I don't know how to dance. I guess you'd better learn then. Don't want to look like a mega dweeb out there in front of everybody.
It's like Gwen paid him to say that. And Max is really into that suit. And Gwen's always reading the spell book now. Don't do it. Of course. I can't imagine actually just doing that. Like, it's obviously not yours, and people will notice. Like, who actually just sees food and no matter where it comes from, just starts eating it? That's so rude. And this guy doesn't even care.
No swimming. Now what am I supposed to do for fun?
Don't you own like 3 different video game consoles?
Oh yeah!
That could have been just some innocent guy with his brakes broken and Ben just immediately slams them and starts dancing. He's very lucky that that was actually a bad guy.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that'll fix it. I really like all the warm colors being used here. Time to go swimming.
Naburian Pelorota!
Wow, for an extinct species, everybody knows who they are. Also, should Cannonbolt's lower stripe be visible in this shot?
I was trying to save the wedding!
Seems like he's telling the truth.
You know aliens. Can't trust any of them.
If she knew who she was talking to, she'd know Max firmly disagrees with that. When the smoke starts rising up, Cannonbolt disappears right here before the smoke completely covers him. So he just kind of pops. But in the same continuous shot, they walk in through the ground, and now they're at a completely different angle. Like, the way they're standing here does not match up with the background right here. But once the smoke comes up, it's all one shot.
We want you to promise no more weapons for the rest of the weekend.
I love that so many things in Ben 10 has glowing eyes just for the hell of it.
And the bride and her family are aliens. They're just in disguise for the wedding. Actually, they're some of the toughest, nastiest, meanest beings in the galaxy.
Dude, that's your family. Well, with that description, even Max has a little alien racism in him.
We call them sludge puppies.
This image has some depth to it. As you can see, this beam goes behind this one, but in front of this one. And there's these flaming volcanoes and whatnot going on in the back. And of course, some smoke animation.
The plumbers and the sludges have been going at it for generations.
Holy crap, is this Max right here? I never noticed that he was shown here. And some guy with an eye patch. He kind of looks a little bit like Devin, not gonna lie.
Their children, Joel and Camille. A truce was forged from that single relationship.
I think it's kind of sweet that she has a form to imitate humans, which I guess is their way of trying to appear less threatening.
It could put an end to years of fighting.
And someone doesn't want that to happen.
We get to dance in front of everyone? Isn't that great? I took cotillion for 3 years.
She's always doing so much, and she's like 10. Where does she find the time, and how does her parents afford all this? Oh yeah, her dad's a lawyer, I forgot.
I know how to dance. I can teach you.
So is that other chef just still out in the woods somewhere? Because all he did was knock him out, and that was like a day ago. He should have shown back up by now. Unless he killed him.
Camille.
Alright, then what was the point of the disguise? He could have just barged into the room in his original form and said this. If he's just gonna break character right here and there, it just doesn't seem like there was a point.
Without a fight.
That's a little freaky. And this animation is really good. I love all of the sludge puppy stuff in this episode.
It's my ex-boyfriend! How did he find out about the wedding?
I mean, this wedding is meant to end wars. I'm sure many people know about this wedding. Ben's arm is moving, but the dial isn't actually turning. Although I like this little Kirby dot effect that appears here. You know, this made me realize we don't get transformation sequences too often in seasons 3 and 4.
If I can't have Camille, then neither can you.
Those are some pretty awesome vocal effects. You know, you don't really see Diamond Head's hand go from Spike's back to a fist. Usually it's the other way around. He can maybe trap him in a Diamond Head box. I wonder if that kills him.
Civilians will be at the wedding tomorrow. What if there's another alien attack?
You know, this episode starts off by framing them in the wrong, but when you find out they're in the right, that is a decent twist, even though they are kind of alien racists, so I guess it goes to show both sides are right and wrong.
No weapons.
Most important thing is don't step on her toes. Back, forward, back.
I wonder if this is really how to dance in Cotillion.
Oh, that is so sweet.
We are gathered here to witness the union between Joel and Camille.
What kind of accent is that?
I'll forever hold them.
Alright, they waited all this time? Well, I guess they didn't want to wait until the weapons were gone.
This wedding and every human here are about to be cancelled.
Ben 10 predicts cancel culture.
What did I tell you? Once a sludge, always a sludge.
I don't like that they're right, because it just reinforces their racism. Because as you can see with Camille, not all of them are like it, it's just like the old ones. People who can't get with the times. Kind of paralleling our society right now. We're forever, pretty much.
They set up the ex-boyfriend to take the fall and keep suspicion off of themselves.
There will be no wedding, no truce.
But why? I don't see why they'd want to continue war. Then again, humans do it, and we're just as stupid, so...
All fired up.
Really good thing he gets Heatblast right now. This is the second episode where Heatblast saves the day.
Another wedding crasher.
Oh, this is a really cool shot of them. Would this be considered gore, or is it only gore when it's human organs and intestines and stuff? I mean, I know they're just slime people, but I mean, still, technically by definition. It's just interesting how in shows like aliens or robots, or basically you can mutilate anything as long as it's not human. I can't be the only one that's reminded of Mr. Fantastic with this guy, right? More magic, sweet. Now he's one of those arm-flailing tube men. Oh, come on, Gwen, you're tougher than that.
You promised to leave the plumber gear at home. I didn't.
Go Max. Oh, these things are sweet. Max, where is this whenever you get captured or whatever? If they're that small and portable, come on, Max, keep one of those on you. And where's your jetpack? This is one of those shots you've seen a million times, but it's always still pretty cool. I really like how the camera follows Heatblast through this one shot.
This is my special day, and nobody is going to...
She's going Super Saiyan. Hey, look, she's doing it too. Oh god, this is an awesomely gross shot. I wonder if this one was done by Perkins too, because he did the sludge puppy shot, I'm pretty sure. It was done a lot sketchier than this one. But Perkins is always switching up his style, so this could easily also be Perkins, who knows. Look at how this hammer fist goes back into her arm and like crawls into her wrist. That's really cool.
We're sorry that we've been so tough on you, Camille.
Sounds like she's making a lot of cricket-like sounds.
Of course. That's what family is for.
Yeah, these are very interesting creatures. I'm glad they got brought back in Omniverse, but it would have been neat if the expanded Tennyson family became full-on supporting characters. Surprised this doesn't light that tree on fire.
To muck up our family business.
Family business? So do they profit from the war? Another great use of Heatblast's powers.
A little big for the wedding cake.
Yeah, your parents might be gone and you're just gonna quit? Well, alright. I mean, they were pretty bad people. They're just gonna move on. Well, good for them, I guess. Oh yeah, she's a sludge puppy. I forgot about that. Oh no, the tuxedo. Max's pride and joy. So now we're introduced to the sludge puppies, or Lenopins as they're officially called. And just like the Megawatts, even though they don't come back too often in the series, they're still very impactful aliens, both in the context of the show and in the fandom. So let's start by giving this plot a 3. While this episode was primarily about Camille's wedding, there was a lot of B-plots going on, like Ben learning how to dance, and the war between the Lenopins and the humans. And while all of it was touched on pretty nicely, you do kind of get divided in all of the chaos. It's not really a hard episode to follow. You do kind of lose focus on what the overall narrative is supposed to be, especially since this episode is about uniting the two species, but narratively it does still kind of side with the humans by making the aliens the bad guys. At least the parents. Like, I get that's a good twist. Maybe if it was just like another pack of Lenopins that wanted the war to continue. I don't know, I feel like by having the parents of the bride be the ones to want to stop the wedding, it diffuses the whole unity message and more of says, the old generation is just screwed. If they're not with the times, then that's it for them. Unless the message is supposed to be more about how newer generations are supposed to be the change, by setting examples of how the future is supposed to be. Characterization, I'm gonna give a 4 to. This episode was kind of difficult because there was a lot of different characters to balance, and while I do feel like a fair amount of exposition was given for their backstories, and they did all have some pretty distinct attitudes despite their little screen time, it does ultimately get sacrificed for the sake of the plot sometimes. And again, it is kind of back and forth on who's supposed to be right or not. Even if that's the point, the inconsistency makes the tone confusing, and it's hard to really find empathy with the characters if you don't really know where they're coming from. But the scene with Gwen teaching Ben how to dance, I really appreciate that. Whenever they're being nice to each other when it's not a world-ending situation, those are the moments I appreciate the most. Visuals is going to get a 4. There's some great artwork in here, and all of the Lenopin scenes are pretty fun to watch. And aside from the Heatblast one, all of the fight sequence kind of go the same way. You attack the Lenopin, they regenerate, so you do it again, they regenerate. So it sort of feels like you're just waiting to see how they're gonna figure out to defeat them, rather than being entertained by the action that's happening right now. Importance, I'm going to give it a 3. While the impact of this episode on the Tennyson family can arguably be a 1 or even a 0, like I said, Lenopins are a pretty important species in the Ben 10 universe, and this does explain a lot of the history in a very simple fashion, and it does come up from time to time, so I would give it a watch. And entertaining, I'm gonna give it a 4. It's a pretty good episode of Ben 10, but there's much more exciting episodes out there, but it's still one I don't mind rewatching every now and then. Well, it would mostly be for the Lenopin fight scenes rather than the conflicts between the Tennyson family. I do really appreciate what they were trying to do there, but again, I'm just not sure that the payoff was what they were trying to go for. That leaves this episode with an 18 out of 25. Let's move on to that roadmap. Our first episode, Don't Drink the Water, is prominently set in St. Augustine, Florida. This also gives the Tennysons the opportunity to visit a beach, as they did in the previous episode, Don't Drink the Water, which didn't have a defined location. Unfortunately, Big Fat Alien Wedding is another dud, but we at least got one more new location this time around. Don't forget to subscribe to see how it all ends. I've always been a huge advocate for recognition of Heatblast's immense versatility. In fact, if you've been following the breakdowns for a while now, you'll know that in some of the earlier ones, I've made some pretty pretty strong cases for Heatblast having super speed. It's nice to see Ben solve problems using Heatblast without using straight up firepower, as both evaporation and liquid solidifications are great new additions to his metaphorical flaming tool belt. As for the episodes themselves, they are pretty fun. Seasons 3 and 4 of Ben 10 like to play with a lot of concepts such as mind switching, de-aging, dream episodes, and of course, the upcoming wrestling episode. And it gives a window into how Ben 10 works for all of these tropes. For this week's poll, I'd like to ask you all what your favorite young version of Ben's aliens were. Make sure to catch that in the community poll once this video goes live, but until then, you can stay up to date with everything that I do on my social media and join the Discord for some fun community interaction. You can also join the Patreon for $1 a month. That's $12 a year for exclusive weekly updates on all of our projects, such as 5 years later or and beyond. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend, and until next time, keep it fizzy.